Hello, hi, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Ember Lore. I like to review horror movies, anywhere from gory to D-list to cults, just any type of horror movie I love to talk about. If you enjoy that type of thing, be sure to subscribe. So the first time I made this video review, I was a little nervous. I kind of felt like I had to stick to a script, so now I'm going off script and I'm going to review this movie again. So I'm going to be talking about Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Hopefully you didn't see my cringy video, but if you did and you're back watching this one, thank you. So the movie starts off with the Sorrento brothers, and they're kind of goofballs. Just you could tell they're the brothers who don't take much serious. I mean, they pull up to this area that's known for making out and getting freaky. They pull up in an ice cream truck, and they happen to have dates for some reason. They have these two girls, and they give them ice cream, and they promise the girls all the ice cream they would want if they came up to this area that's known for people making out at. They get there and the girls are like, yeah, y'all thought we were stupid. Run us our ice cream. Like, we came up here with you and we're not kissing you. This is when we meet Mike and Debbie, and they're having their own little date. When suddenly there's a comet in the sky and they see this bright light flash. Debbie's like, ooh, let's go check it out. A comet? That seems cool. And Mike is like, girl, I did not bring you up here to go chase no goddamn comets. I'm trying to get my freak on. But Debbie insists. She's like, I think it'll be fun. Let's go. Come on. An old man who's also not too far from the area. He's at his house. You can tell he's somebody who just lives off the grid, really. He also sees the comet and he decides to go chase it because he thinks he's about to make a lot of money off of this comet. So he grabs his dog Pooh Bear and he goes towards the direction that he saw the comet crash. At this point, Debbie has convinced Mike for them to just go and check out the scene. It'll be fun, and then they can continue with their date. They begin to head towards the area where they think they saw the comet crash too. And the old man beats him there, of course. It looked like he lived super close to the scene. However, when he arrives to the scene, there's a whole circus tent. And he's like, okay, I came over here for a comet. Why the hell would there be a whole circus tent in the middle of the forest? This doesn't make any sense. So he approaches the tent. He knocks on it, and this is when he realizes this is not no ordinary tent because it makes a clank sound like metal. As he's trying to figure out what is up with this tent, Pooh Bear gets kidnapped. I mean, dog napped. One of the clowns casted a net and captured Pooh Bear, and that was the last we ever saw of him. The old man notices that Pooh Bear was taken and he goes crazy. He starts pulling on the wire. He's like, give me back my damn dog. Give me back Pooh Bear. You don't know him. Give him back. I'll mess up everybody. He's full blown homicidal at this point. This is when we see a clown approach him from behind and he's like, who the hell are you? What is going on? And the clown zaps him. And that's the last we ever see of the old man. Eventually, Debbie and Mike come across the tent and they happen to make it inside. They take a little tour of their own and they're kind of confused about everything. There's this huge circus tent in the middle of the dark forest in an area that we swear we saw a comet land. There should be a blast or something, but instead, no, there's this tent. They start taking the elevator and they start going to these different rooms. This is when they see a room with some sort of electricity ball. I don't know what the hell it was. Debbie and Mike didn't either. Mike is over here with the most useless guesses talking about, is this an army base? Is this a nuclear plant? Do nuclear plants look like circus tents, Mike?
My problem is not that you won't shut up. It's that every time you speak, it's nonsense. It's fucking dumbassery.
So they end up going to another room and they find this other room with like these cotton candy sacks. And Mike is thinking, oh, we came across a cotton candy manufacturing place. And Julia's looking around like, this ain't no cotton candy manufacturing place. Matter of fact, we need to get out of here. And Mike is like, no, let's just take a look. So he approaches one of these sacks made out of cotton candy and he rips a little piece of it, of course, probably wanting to taste it. I mean, they're there, why not, right? And this is when he realizes there's a body inside of the sack because there's nothing but a bloody face. All that gets revealed is a bloody face. Mike is like, oh, okay, yeah, we do need to go. We meet Officer Dave and Kurt, and they're back at the police station. Officer Kurt he's been in the game for way too long. He's ready to retire. He's seen everything in the book. Nothing can surprise him, and he's also very pessimistic. He's not a nice officer. Officer Dave, on the other hand, he seems like a rookie, new to the game. He gives at least a little more optimistic, more kind. So they're booking these two criminals. We don't know what they did, but Officer Kurt is being way too rough with the criminals. I mean, he's slamming them against the wall. He's not following due process. He's just kind of bullying them. And Officer Dave is like, hey, chill out. It's not that serious. Like, chill. So we quickly figure out they have two very different personalities. We catch back up with Mike and Debbie. Eventually, the clowns sense or figure out that Mike and Debbie are in their tent, and they don't like that. So they begin to chase them. Debbie and Mike make a run for it. As they make it out of the tent, one of the clowns shoots them with this popcorn gun. And Mike and Debbie are so confused. They're like, why the hell did we just get shot with popcorn? Popcorn? Then one of these clowns came out and he blows up a like silly balloon. I don't know the actual name of them, but it's the balloons that you see like at every circus where they turn them into animals. And he turns the balloon into a dog. And the dog comes to life and starts leading them toward Debbie and Mike are headed. The Debbie and Mike happen to make it to the car right on time. And when they get in the car, clowns catch up with them. Mike puts the car in reverse to try to get the hell up out of there. The dog happened to be behind the wheel, one of the tires, when Mike reversed to get out of there. And Mike accidentally runs over the dog. And from there, it was up. The clowns wanted war. You killed their dog, taking Pooh Bear, that's one thing. But killing their dog? Not okay. Debbie tells Mike that they need to go find the police immediately. She happens to have a friend that works at the police station, and she is sure this friend will hear them out. This is when we find out Officer Dave is Debbie's friend. They make it to the police station, and Debbie is just frantically telling Dave everything they saw, everything that happened, and that they need to go to this tent because they're killing people and putting them inside of cotton candy. As she's saying this, Officer Kurt is like, see, I done heard it all. This is a prank. This is a typical prankster. Okay, I'm not falling for that. You're not gonna get me. He is not convinced at all. He's making a mockery of the whole thing. He's cutting Julia off. He's telling her to basically cut the crap. He's not going for it. But Officer Dave, he's like, I'll hear you out. Take me to this tent. So they all hop in the car. Officer Dave is like, you know what? On second thought, Debbie, you need to go home for your safety. I'm going to drop you off at the house. Mike can take me to the scenery, but you need to get to somewhere safe, okay? Because this is not it. And Debbie's like, look, we're not in a relationship anymore. You can't control me. Mike is in the backseat like, did you just say used to date? So this is your man? So you told me you had a friend, but the friend is really your ex-man? Mike was looking at Debbie so crazy. Like, I know you did not have me in the back of a police car when you used to date the police. They eventually drop off Debbie, and once they get there, Mike runs up to give Debbie a little kiss. And of course, as he's giving her a kiss, Mr. Snoopy over here is looking and getting in his feelings about it. Damn, you didn't have to look away. You're not with her anymore. Let her go. So the clowns have now made it to the town, and they're starting to wreak their havoc and kidnap people and turn them into this cotton candy. At one point, one of the clowns approached a biker gang, and at first I was worried about the clown. I was like, ooh, do you know what you just ran into? And it's late at night. They've been drinking. One of the bike gang members grabs the clown's bike and smashes it on the ground. The clown pretends to cry, and then they all laugh like, "Aw," which I really don't know what's funny about smashing a clown's bike or anyone's like. What is funny about that? So the clown disappears in the sky, comes back down with some boxing gloves, and basically said, "Put him up." Next thing we know, this clown really had hands. He knocks the head off of the biker who smashed his bike. After that, they all scattered like roaches when the lights come on. Mike and Dave have now made it to the area where the tent should have been, but now it's an empty space. Now it actually looks like a comet crash. But the tent is gone. So now Dave is starting to feel played. He's like, so you got my girl. I don't even know you in the first place. And then you bring me out to the woods to some open spot. Like, what are you pulling here? So he puts him under arrest. He puts him in cuffs. I mean, was it excessive? Yes, because Debbie also said she saw this. But we know he was in his feelings because when he should have been minding his business, he was watching Mike kiss his ex-girl, Debbie. So he's a little salty. He puts Mike in the back of the car and he drives to the top of the world area. That's the area where all the people are making out was called the top of the world. So Dave takes a trip over there with Mike in the back, and he gets out and he's like, why are all of these cars here, but there's no people? I'm not seeing anybody. So he gets out with his flashlight and he starts to look in the cars. This is when he sees all of the cars are wrapped in cotton candy. Not only are they wrapped in cotton candy, but the insides of them are also wrapped in cotton candy, just covered. So he's like, okay, wait, maybe they are telling the truth. He takes Mike out of the cuffs. He's like, okay, I guess you weren't lying after all. But this is where he messed up because he should have immediately called Kurt at that point and been like, hey, so something is a little weird because these cars are wrapped in cotton candy. I'm going to keep looking, but something's going on. But he didn't. He didn't even let him know. Kurt is back at the station and he's getting calls back to back about these clowns. And the whole time that he's getting these calls, he's laughing, he's brushing it off. He genuinely believes that the entire town is playing a prank on solely him.
I saw alien spaceships above my house.
He even makes a comment about having to watch rich kids. So, I mean, there's clearly some type of grudge that Kurt has against a lot of the people in the town, especially their kids. Even if I thought somebody was pulling a prank on me, I highly doubt that they ever called about clowns. Not only that, I highly doubt that he's ever experienced people saying that these clowns were killing people at least drive around and see. Debbie is starting to take a shower and all of the popcorn pieces fall off of her. And at first, it's not really clear again why they were shot with popcorn, but then the scene cuts to a clown sprinkling some popcorn into a dumpster and the dumpster begins to rattle. So now we're like, okay, what's up with this popcorn? Debbie puts her clothes that is still covered in the popcorn in a hamper and her hamper starts to rattle. But she misses it because at this point she just hopped in the shower. She didn't see it shaking. As for the worker who came across the popcorn and the dumpster that the clown had sprinkled it in, he was like eaten alive. Like something happened because he fell in and he was screaming for his life. So we know this popcorn is something serious. At this point, Mike and Dave are headed back to the station and they see this clown that's doing this shadow puppet show for some random people on the street. And Mike is like, look, there's a clown. So they stop and observe what's going on. But at this point, the clown had done some sort of monster dinosaur shadow and ate the people with the shadow. After seeing this, Dave is like, oh, okay, so you guys are really telling the truth. And this is when Dave finally decides to call Kurt to let him know. But when he calls Kurt and he's like, Kurt, there's really clown. Kurt still thinks it's a prank. He's like, oh, they got you too, huh? You're in on it too. Kurt, just say you're scared. Just say that clowns scare you. You've always had a fear of clowns and you don't want to go outside and see them. Because the fact that your partner is now calling you and you still don't want to go outside, just say you're scared. That's fine. The Renzo brothers happen to pass by Mike and Dave. Mike hops out the car and hops in the ice cream truck with the Torrento brothers to go get Debbie. And Officer Dave decides to head back to the station so he could tell Kurt, like, this is really real. This is not a prank. So as he's on his way, one of the clowns happens to walk into the police station. And when it walks in the police station, it doesn't say anything. It presents some flowers to Officer Kurt. Officer Kurt is like, oh, okay, so there are clowns around the city. But he leans to sniff in the flowers, and that's when the clown sprays him with water. Officer Kurt gets upset and puts the clown under arrest. I guess that's technically assault? I don't know. Puts the clown under arrest, but the gloves or the hands of a clown come smooth off and there's nothing there. Officer Kurt is like, what the hell type of game are you playing? And he takes him to the back cell and puts him in the same cell with the two guys that they had booked earlier in the movie. When he puts him in the cell, the clown blows out this little toy, you know, the toys that roll out. Like I don't know the name because I said this in the first video and I still didn't look it up. But you know those little toys that you blow on and it'll unravel and then it'll roll back up if no air is being blown into it? The clown basically does that, but at the end of it is a hand and it grabs Officer Kurt's neck. Well, that's pretty much the end of Officer Kurt. Dave finally makes it to the station, but he makes it too late. When he walks in, all of the lights are off, and when he goes back to check the cell area, he sees that everything is covered in cotton candy. He sees these little cotton candy sacks. He walks up to one of them and he realizes that there's a body inside, just like Mike and Debbie told him. So then he goes to try to find Officer Kurt. So he goes back to the desk area to call for backup. When he goes back in the room, he sees a clown and Officer Kurt. But Officer Kurt has two lines drawn on his chin as if he's a puppet, and he's stiff. He's not moving, he's not saying anything. Officer Kurt says something along the lines of, we're gonna kill you all, or something like that, and then his body drops to the side. Turns out the clown had cut a hole in the back of Officer Kurt and was using him like a ventriloquist. And Dave is standing there looking like, and he just begins shooting because at this point, I mean, what can he do? But this is when he learns that the only way to kill the clowns is if you shoot off their nose. He starts shooting towards the clown's head and he shoots off the clown's nose. This is when the clown literally evaporates and disappears. He calls for backup and then he goes looking for Mike. Now, Debbie is fresh out of the shower, and mind you, she never saw her hamper rattle, so she doesn't know that something's up with this popcorn. Next thing she knows, these miniature clowns that are like on vines or something start popping out left and right in front of her, and the mirror just all over, and she's surrounded. Luckily, she's able to take the miniature clowns out, but when she runs out of the room, she realizes she's literally surrounded by clowns. She looks out the window, they're at the bottom of the window. She turns around, they're in her living room. She literally cannot escape these clowns. The clowns capture Debbie and they put her into this balloon. And as they're on their way out with Debbie in the balloon, this is when Mike pulls up with the Torrento brothers and they see the clowns taking Debbie away. So they decide to chase her. So they're chasing the clowns towards this amusement park. And this is when Officer Dave happens to see Mike and the Torrento brothers drive by. So he starts chasing them. But the Torrento brothers don't know anything about these clowns. They don't really know what's going on. So they freak out seeing police sirens behind them. Please stop the car because obviously the cops are behind you. Stop, right? But when they do this, it causes Officer Dave to rear end them because he wasn't expecting them to stop so abruptly because he knew Mike knew what he knew basically. So when he ended up totaling his police car and hops hops in the ice cream truck with the guys. And Mike basically explains, yeah, we're headed towards that amusement park because they kidnapped Debbie and she's in a balloon. So they continue on with their chase. But because of this whole little accident, the clowns have already made it to the amusement park to their tent. And outside they see a security guard. And the security guard is like, hey, we're closed, you gotta go. This is when they start to pie him. I'm thinking this is some regular pies. I don't know. I just wasn't expecting the pies to be made out of acid, but it completely melts his body. And one of the clowns puts a cherry on top. So unserious. Guys make it to the amusement park, and of course, the Torrenzo brothers are touching buttons and just touching everything like little kids. And they ended up hitting some button that was a booby trap and caused them to fall through the floor. But Mike and Dave didn't see where they went. All of a sudden, they just disappeared. Thanks to Debbie suggesting that Mike go check out the scene, he's able to recognize the inside of the tent because he's been in there before. He tells Officer Dave, this is the tent. This is what we were telling you about. Come over here. I know it's one of these elevators. Mike ends up taking Dave to the cotton candy room. This is where they find Debbie. This is when we also realize that the whole purpose of the cocoon is because it turns it into the sweet smoothie for the clowns. One of the clowns approaches the cocoon and has this long, swirly straw. He begins to drink out of the cotton candy cocoon. So Dave uses his gun to free Debbie, but of course it makes a loud pop sound, attracting all of the clowns pretty much, letting them know where they're at. So they make a run for it, and they are running for their life. At one point, there was this area with like 20 doors that Mike had to open. It was a mess, okay? They end up surrounded by the clowns anyway, and this is when the Torrenzo brothers happen to crash through the wall with their ice cream truck. So I don't know how, but they made it out alive. And at one point, Mike said that they had 9 lives, so I mean, I guess he wasn't lying, because I don't know how they made it out of that one. But when they crash through the wall, they start to speak through the intercom. It was able to distract the clowns long enough for Mike, Dave, and Debbie to escape, or at least make it towards the ice cream truck. As they make it towards the ice cream truck, this is when the biggest and the baddest came in the room. All of a sudden you see this gigantic clown that makes all of the other clowns scatter. So you know he means business. You know this is the real deal. He comes down from the ceiling. He basically just starts tearing everything up. This is when Officer Dave was like, Mike and Debbie, you guys get to safety, get out of here. I'm going to distract this big ass clown. And they're looking at him like, okay. They honestly didn't really put up too much of a fight to stay and help Officer Dave. This is when the gigantic clown grabs Officer Dave and has him up to his face as if he's ready to devour him as is. Like, no cotton candy, no chaser, okay? And Officer Dave remembers the nose. So he takes off his badge and he stabs the giant clown in the nose, causing the clown to explode. At this point, Debbie and Mike have already made it off to safety, and police, the backup police that Dave had called, are finally pulling up. After the whole damn town has been consumed, I mean, the clowns were really successful. They pretty much got the entire town of people, but backup's finally here. No thanks to Officer Kurt. So after the clown explodes, the tent takes off, literally flying away. Oh, there's this pop sound that comes from the giant clown turning into fireworks, and the clown car that the clowns had arrived in to the amusement park drops down next to Mike and Debbie, and everybody's on guard because they're like, what the hell is about to come out of this thing? What's about to happen? And out comes the Torrenzo brothers and Officer Dave, so they live. At the end of the movie, Debbie said to Mike, is it all over now? And Mike was like, I think so. But then the pies fell down on their face, the acid pies. So I'm kind of like, did they die after that? Was this a happy ending? I don't really know. That don't seem happy to me. Because after seeing what it did to that security guard, this don't seem like a happy ending. So that was Killer Klowns from Outer Space. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And if you've seen the movie, let me know what you think. What was your thoughts on it? I really liked it. This was a good one. If you really think about it though, this whole thing is Officer Kurt's fault, because had he called backup sooner, they might have been able to save a lot more people, especially after figuring out shooting them in the nose is a way to get rid of them. They would have found that out a lot sooner and taken out way more clowns had Officer Kurt done his job instead of thinking everybody was pranking him. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on the movie. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.